Our first bill is House File 2110, which is the Climate and Energy Budget. We will be merging this bill onto the Commerce Omnibus House File 1031, which is up next on the agenda. So the chair will move House File 2110 before the committee for consideration. Chair Long, welcome to the committee, and I understand you have an author's amendment.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair Moran. If we could take that up first, that would be grateful.
Okay. Why don't you please tell us about your budget, and then we would do the amendment.
Okay, sounds good to me. Well, members, this bill is about ensuring Minnesota is leading the transition to a clean energy economy. I want to share an amazing fact with you. Nearly half of all wind turbines installed in the US in the last decade were installed by Minnesota companies. And that was no accident. That was because prior legislators made the right call in setting the direction of our state towards clean energy. But it's not enough to coast on our past successes. Other states are passing us by, and we can't let Minnesota miss out on the opportunities that we know are coming. We have a $5.5 million general fund allocation for this budget, and $892,000 in tails, which we've fully utilized. The large items were $2.5 million for matching electric vehicle rebates for greater Minnesota auto dealers, $1.7 million for solar in schools for greater Minnesota schools, and then funding for the state portion of the costs for the Natural Gas Innovation Act, for beneficial electrification, for electric school bus, and for intervenor compensation. And the tails is allocated for ongoing costs for agencies for several of our bills. The renewable development account, which we also manage, there's $85 million approximately in the account currently. For those who aren't familiar, or as a refresher, the renewable development account is a fund that was negotiated with Xcel Energy in an agreement to keep spent nuclear fuel in the state, and it's designed to fund renewable development in Xcel territory. We have about 20 different allocations in the bill. I won't go through all of them, but the largest are $17 million for electric vehicle rebates within Xcel territory, $10 million for solar in schools within Xcel territory, $10 million for an innovative finance authority to allow us to deploy clean energy technology with new finance, $10 million for a state building energy conservation revolving loan fund to help save money for our state buildings. And in total, we leave $822,000 on the bottom line for the renewable development account. Beyond our spending, this bill sets out the vision that we need to reclaim our clean energy leadership as a state, including Governor Walz's 100% clean energy standard, the Clean Energy First bill to strengthen our preference for renewable energy, and the Next Generation Climate Act to update our state greenhouse gas reduction goals. We also know that clean energy means jobs, but we must make sure that these jobs are good jobs. Our bill includes support for local hiring and good wages. It includes the Buy Clean and Buy Fair standards to reward companies making products protective of the environment and of workers. And it includes support for a just transition for workers and communities by creating an Energy Transition Legacy Office. We also know the energy transition must be equitable. There are an estimated 4,000 early deaths in Minnesota every year from air pollution, and this disproportionately affects the poor and people of color. We have to focus our efforts in the communities most impacted, and this bill does so with requiring environmental justice to be considered for siting of new facilities, funding a pilot in North Minneapolis to create a job training center, and requiring utilities to report on their diversity and hiring. We also know that the cheapest form of energy is the energy you never use, and we include a task force on home weatherization funding to help fill this huge need in our state and reduce costs for low-income households. And we also include the Bipartisan Energy Conservation and Optimization Act, which we passed off the floor this week. And we know clean energy is necessary to confront climate change. We know this is not a someday problem. Climate change is impacting our health, our farms, our infrastructure, and our way of life right now. So in some members, this bill recognizes the challenges that we have: an energy economy in transition, the threat of climate change, disproportionate impacts for environmental justice communities. but it also embraces our opportunities: good paying jobs, affordable energy, and new industries. It says it's time for Minnesota to once again lead our nation's clean energy transition. I'm happy to take any questions that members have.
Okay. Why don't, before we go there, why don't we have a few amendments. So, and some changes that has happened. So Chair Long, I believe you have the A6 amendment, correct?
The A62, I believe.
So, okay. So what I have here, we're going to have Vice Chair Olson move the A62 authors amendment.
So move, Madam Chair. I'll move the A62, and I think there was the addition of the A63 technical that I'm happy to move on behalf of the chair as needed too.
Yes, that is correct. So Chair Long, could you explain the A62 authors amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is a technical amendment. It primarily is fixing appropriation amounts and making sure that the agencies have the authorization to oversee the funding that they have, making sure that there are appropriations for them as well.
Members, are there any questions to the amendments? If not, Vice Chair Olson renews her motion to adopt the A62 authors amendment. All those in, yes.
I apologize. We'll need to adopt the A63 to the A62 first.
Before we do that. So Vice Chair Olson, would you like to move the A63 amendment?
Madam Chair, I move the A63, which was the technical amendment
to the A62.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so Chair Long, could you also describe that one?
Yes, that there was an error in the citation for the statute, so that's correcting the error.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. McCall, so would it be appropriate to move both the A62 and the A63 at the same time in vote, or should we do it individually?
Madam Chair, it would be individually, but before we do that, I see a question from Representative Garofalo.
Representative Garofalo.
My question's on the A62 amendment, not 63. So feel free to adopt the 63 and then we'll get to 62.
Okay. Right. Vice Chair Olson renews her motion to adopt the A62 authors amendment.
63, Madam Chair.
The A63 authors amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Okay. So to that amendment, Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. And so I want to be clear because there's a couple of similarly named amendments that are out here. So what we're looking at is House File.
Oh, just a question. Okay. I'm sorry. So we're looking at House File 2110, Representative Garofalo.
Okay, so we're on 2110 and we're on the A62 amendment as amended.
Yes.
Okay. And Madam Chair and Representative Long, there's an appropriation here that is increased for. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I'm looking for the A62 amendment on the House website. There it is right there. 2110. Sorry. Line 1.8. What is that increasing the appropriation for?
Chair Long.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, thank you for the question. So that is for ongoing costs for computer software for the Department of Administration to manage the revolving loan fund.
And Madam Chair and Representative Long, that's not the costs of the interveners?
Chair Long.
That's not my understanding. I can do a quick comparison of the bills, but.
Which way would you like to bring the fiscal staff?
No, sorry. I think the dollar amount is the same. That's why when I saw it in the amendment, I thought that it was the dollar amounts are similar. So I have a question about the intervener statute, so I'll wait until the A62 amendment is adopted.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Chair Long.
Yes, Representative Garofalo, I have cross-checked it with the bill, and line 50.17 is the state building energy conservation loan account. So this is for computer software for ongoing costs.
Okay, I'll wait till the A62 amendment's adopted. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we do need to adopt the A62 amendment. So Chair Olson renews her motion to adopt the A62 author's amendment. All those in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed?
No.
The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Questions, Representative Garofalo to the A62.
Well, I think we just adopted the A62, so my question is on the underlying bill.
You said, I'm sorry, you said the underlying bill. I'm sorry, members. All right, so Representative Garofalo to the bill.
Thank you. Representative Long, can you talk about the section of this bill regarding interveners?
Chair Long.
Yes, happy to. Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you, Representative Garofalo, for the question. So the intervener compensation section would update our statute regarding the ability for nonprofits that are operating in the public interest to provide information to the Public Utilities Commission, and would allow them to be reimbursed if their contribution to the Public Utilities Commission docket is included in the decision. And we believe that it's important to try to help make sure that, for example, those representing consumers in front of the Public Utilities Commission and other points of view are adequately able to represent those points of view at the Public Utilities Commission.
Representative Garofalo.
And so, Madam Chair, Representative Long, who pays for that?
Chair Long.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, it would be paid for ratepayers the same way as the costs of the utilities participating in those proceedings are paid by ratepayers.
Representative Garofalo.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair and Representative Long, am I correct in saying that if someone initiates litigation or a contested or a dispute with the utility, that they're actually going to be incentivized to actually get paid more than they do under current law and expand the pool of people who are accessible to get paid for this?
Chair Long.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, that's not my understanding of the types of proceedings that would be eligible for this. And there is a cap for the amount of compensation per year that a utility would be required to pay. And there's also a cap on the amount that a nonprofit would receive. So I don't believe that, I think we have appropriate safeguards in here to make sure there's no inappropriate incentives, and the assistance provided by the interveners, as I mentioned, also has to materially benefit the Public Utilities Commission in terms of the decision it issues. So this is not just for any costs. They have to actually be incorporated into a decision of the commission.
Representative Garofalo.
And Madam Chair and Representative Long, so I'm familiar with this section of law as it exists right now. It is an outlier compared to other states as it exists. Changing it in this fashion, to say it's unusual would be an understatement. Do you know, I saw that Representative Hollins is the chief author of this bill. Do we know what outside groups have requested this change?
Chair Long.
Chair Moran, Representative Garofalo, thank you for the question. Yes, we had testimony in favor of it in our committee from the Citizens Utility Board and from Energy Sense, two groups that in particular work hard on behalf of low-income ratepayers.
And
Representative Garofalo.
Madam Chair, Representative Long, so they would financially benefit from this then?
Chair Long.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, yes, this would help the organizations, as I mentioned, that are representing low-income ratepayers have the ability to better represent those points of view at the Public Utilities Commission. And this is, I believe, a really important part of making sure that the Public Utilities Commission has a full record for decision. And as I've said, that they only get reimbursed if their advice actually matters, if it actually is taken into account by the Public Utilities Commission.
Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Why are you removing the financial hardship requirement though?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Garofalo. Well, as I mentioned, we cap the amount that the interveners can be paid total in the year, and we also cap the amount that the utilities can pay out. So in my view, that accounts for any potential abuses, and we don't limit the the utilities' ability to participate or others based on their financial situation. So it didn't seem fair to me to do the same on intervener's side.
Representative Garofalo.
Well, Madam Chair and Representative Long, I'm not going to go through the items in the bill that I object with or I have concerns with. I know I've been in your seat before, and sometimes you just got to carry bills because you got to represent the team. But not a lot of serious legislation in this omnibus bill, Representative Long, that's got much of a chance of becoming law. But I understand you got a job to do. So I'll leave my comments at that and advise members I'll be voting no and encourage them to do so as well.
Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Representative Long, I haven't served with you on the Energy Committee, but we do serve on the LEC together, Legislative Energy Commission. And I have a particular interest in energy, as you probably have figured out. I live in Maple Lake, which is just a stone's throw from Becker and from Monticello. And for those that don't know energy, those are literally some of the largest facilities in the state, and I would even argue Sherco in the region, to produce electricity. Hundreds and hundreds of people in my district and adjoining districts rely on the jobs. Union, good paying, fantastic jobs at both the Monticello Nuclear Power Plant and the Sherco plant. And, Sherco was actually in the news today. So that's a kind of a cooperative. It's not solely Excel that runs that, but Representative Long, it's interesting because in your bill, why I bring all this up, I'm going to bring up a lot more things too, but you have a repealer here, Representative Long. Can you please explain to the committee and to the public what exactly are you repealing as it pertains to Sherco and how that will affect, I don't know, 600 or 700 union jobs up in the Becker area in my district?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question, Representative O'Neill. So current law puts a finger on the scale in form of one technology, and that's natural gas for the Sherco plant. And so I would repeal that to allow for the Public Utilities Commission to take into account the full range of public interest considerations and to compare what is in the best interest of ratepayers in terms of the most cost affordable technology in determining what would replace the coal plants that Excel has announced it will retire.
Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Long. So that's an interesting take on it. That's not really how I think my community would take it, but because it was something really important to them in 2017, when they had some semblance of a surety that that plant, which by the way, is 2,400 megawatts of power, baseload power, not intermittent power, baseload. Right next door at the Monticello Nuclear Power Plant is 672. I've actually been in the plant when they've produced more, somewhere around 685 megawatts of consistent baseload power. The Monticello Nuclear Power Plant is only out of operation when they're doing refueling and they power down, but they're pretty much at 95, 96% operation, and nothing like what's going in right now. So you probably saw the news that came out this morning, Representative Long, about what Xcel Energy is planning to put on the site at Sherco, which is the largest solar, utility scale solar plant, well, in the state of Minnesota, probably in the region. I haven't done my research to see how far reaching because the news just broke this morning, but it is, it's a $575 million infrastructure, and the solar plant will be 460 megawatt capacity. Now, it's a little bit of a misnomer, even though that's 460 megawatts of power. Of course, we all know that they're not base load, that's intermittent. And unlike Sherco, which can, once they're geared up, continue at base load and continue at a pretty high capacity, not quite as high as the nuclear power plant next door, which is about 95 or 96% capacity, because they only shut down when they're refueling. But Representative Long, I'm sure that's what you're hoping for, is lots of renewables to go on that site. And in fact, Xcel is actually going to put in the largest solar field in the state of Minnesota. The next largest is actually 100 megawatts. And that's the North Star. But what's interesting is how you kind of coached all this as this is going to be lots of jobs and so on. But here's the funny thing is that the developer, it used to be Geronimo Energy, which was out of Edina, and now it's not. It's been purchased by a British company. So this is something interesting. The Aurora project, which is 100 megawatts dispersed across 16 different sites, one of which is actually in my backyard, so to speak, in my district. And when the developer came in, they were not Minnesotans. Even though it was Geronimo Energy out of Edina, it was people who came in from North Carolina, South Carolina, other places. So it's kind of a misnomer. I mean, and again, these construction jobs are temporary and then they move on, unlike the Sherco plant that's there right now, which has permanent full-time positions. And if you include the nuclear power plant, it's hundreds and hundreds of jobs, maybe close to, I think it's over 1,000 jobs between the two plants that are right there. So energy is really important. And what I don't understand about your bill is not only are you repealing the assurity to my community that there will be a replacement of a gas plant, and obviously there's still a great loss of jobs because they're going from 2,400 megawatts of power all the way down to, let's see, where's my notes? Oh, it's only a 750 megawatt plant. So we're losing all of that megawatt capacity. I'm not sure where you expect that to come from, but we're going from a 2,400 megawatt facility all the way down to 750 megawatt gas plant. And even though they're putting in 460 megawatts of solar, I mean, really, the efficiency is about 11%, 12%, 13% at the most of the time it will actually produce that amount of energy. And I know that because right next door in Maple Grove, they've got a test site over there, and I won't tell you who, but they monitor very closely the efficiencies. So what I don't understand is why you're taking the assurity away from my community, why you have put so much emphasis on the most expensive solar. I don't mind solar necessarily, but in this bill, you have really, really emphasized the most expensive solar. For example, community solar gardens. Now, last I looked, because it's a little bit of a regulated number, but I believe it's more like $150 a megawatt hour compared to utility scale solar, which is what Xcel Energy is planning to put in next to the Sherco plant, which is somewhere around $50, maybe $52, and maybe it's even lower now, a megawatt hour. So 1/3 of the cost. Solar is not solar, is not solar. When you're talking about the community solar gardens, it is 3 times the cost of utility scale solar, 3 times the cost. So I don't know why we're emphasizing incredibly expensive solar that benefits companies that come from other states and other countries to come in and put the development there. And there are no lasting full-time jobs once those things are installed. They kind of just sit there, and once in a while they have a little maintenance. So I don't really understand what you're doing in this bill. And I feel like it's an attack on my community. It's an attack on nuclear. And I'll tell you why it's an attack on nuclear. Now, nuclear is carbon-free, baseload, consistent. It is what I think we all want. Cleaner, cheaper. Now, please don't call it nuclear waste. That is so archaic. It is spent fuel. And you know, I believe you went with us to Idaho when we went to the National Laboratories for Energy. And we discovered that, you know what, that is just a resource sitting there waiting to be used and reused. And it can be very soon. Now, the technology may not be available today, but it is on the horizon to be able to use that spent fuel very efficiently and to repurpose it and reuse it. And so please don't call it waste, because I know that that's offensive to those in my community and those in the nuclear energy field. So here's my question.
Thank you.
I'm finally getting to the question. Thank you, Chair Moran, for indulging me in this, but this is really, really offensive to my community. This bill is beyond strange. It is just an attack on my community. And let me explain why. So the RDA, the Renewable Development Account, which you referenced, you're spending, I think, $117 million or some crazy number out of the Renewable Development Account this in the between the biennium or in the biennium. And Representative Long, tell everybody, where does the RDA money come from?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you for the question, Representative O'Neill. So as I referenced in my opening statement, the Renewable Development Account was a negotiated deal between the Xcel Energy and the state of Minnesota to allow for the storage of spent nuclear waste in the state. And that deal was to incentivize renewable energy development and to make sure that we were transitioning to other forms of energy that did not require the storage of fuel in our state. So that's the agreement, and it is Xcel ratepayers that are paying for the Renewable Development Account.
Representative O'Neill.
Yes, so it is the ratepayer. So here we go again. We are, I'll just call it taxing, because I don't know what else you would call it. The ratepayers in Xcel Energy territory, making energy more expensive and making nuclear more expensive, which makes it less likely that it would remain in the portfolio. Because when you make the nuclear plant more expensive, it is harder and harder for Xcel to keep it in its portfolio. And maybe that's what you want. I don't understand why, though, because it is a carbon-free emission. And I just told you that's not nuclear waste. It is spent fuel that can be repurposed. It is going to happen. It is around the corner. And we saw great, exciting things with what we can do with the spent fuel. But what you've done in this bill is you have literally spent almost everything in the Renewable Development Account, which is paid for by the ratepayers in Xcel Energy territory, and sprinkled it around on projects that are rooftop solar, which again is one of the most expensive and least efficient ways to produce energy. I don't know why you would spend a single dollar on rooftop solar. That's even higher than community solar gardens. It's probably $160 a megawatt hour, if not more, and less efficient. So again, totally different than utility scale solar, which is like a third of the cost and producing a lot more energy. But what you've done is, I should say what you haven't done, is you have not capped the fees on all of that spent fuel. You could have. You could have shown the state of Minnesota, hey, nuclear is important. Nuclear is carbon free. We want to keep nuclear, but no, you just spent like a drunken sailor and spent all that RDA money on sprinkled projects all over the place. And the most offensive are the rooftop solar ones. That's just a demonstration project. That's not real energy. That's a demonstration. That's just terrible and expensive. But you have not capped the cask fee moving forward, which you absolutely have to do if you want to save nuclear. If you want to save the nuclear power plants in Minnesota, which we have two, which is again carbon-free base load, then you need to cap the cask fee, which is what the Xcel Energy ratepayers pay on top of. It's a fee on top of what they pay for their energy. No other place in the entire United States has a cask fee. And yes, it was something negotiated in 1994, and I'm sure in 1994 no one could have imagined that fund would be generating hundreds of millions of dollars. So there's just so much in this bill that is so offensive to my community, to the nuclear communities. So Red Wing, Prairie Island, Becker, Monticello, Maple Lake, Buffalo, Big Lake, Sago, on and on and on. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of good paying union jobs in my district, and they're put in jeopardy with this bill. I don't appreciate that. I don't like this bill. There's nothing in here that I really am excited about. I do have one last question though. What are you doing to the Community Solar Gardens project? And I sure hope it means that you're going to be ramping it down, not ramping it up, because we already have 789 megawatts of capacity in the Community Solar Gardens program that is 3 times higher than utility scale solar. Why in the world would you incentivize something that costs 3 times as much? I don't understand this. And it's dispersed across 400 different sites. What are you doing to the Community Solar Gardens project that's 3 times higher than utility scale solar?
Chair Long.
Thank you for the second question, Chair Moran and Representative O'Neill. So there's been a lot of discussion about jobs and costs, and I'm glad we're talking about both of those because I think they're incredibly important. And on the jobs front, I know a lot of construction workers who would take quite a bit of offense to them being called temporary jobs. There are going to be hundreds of jobs created by the solar project that is going to go in at the site that Xcel announced. And there have been really good studies looking at what a transition to a clean energy economy would mean for jobs. And if we went to 90% renewable energy in Minnesota, that would create 50,000 more jobs than the base case scenario of maintaining the current power we have right now. So a pro-job future is a clean energy future. And in terms of cost, we know that the cheapest form of energy right now is wind energy. And the second cheapest form of energy in just a few years is going to be solar energy. So we are seeing those costs come down year after year. In terms of the community solar gardens, it is not a fair comparison to compare community solar utility scale solar. Community solar is not a wholesale program, it's a retail program. And so the best form of comparison is to rooftop solar, and it is cheaper than putting up solar on your roof, considerably cheaper than putting it on your own home. In terms of what we've done to community solar in the bill, we have allowed for community solar to be put into counties that are not contiguous so that we can have more advantages for a number of farmers who want to take advantage of community solar but aren't able to do so now. And we've also allowed for more economies of scale by increasing from 1 megawatt to 3 megawatt, which would reduce the cost of those community solar projects. There's an active negotiation going on right now between the solar industry and Xcel Energy on that program. So this language really is a placeholder for those negotiations, and I'm hoping that, that those negotiations will be fruitful.
Okay, last question, Representative O'Neill.
Oh, no, Madam Chair, I have a lot more questions. As I'm speaking, Madam Chair, I have the industry that is texting me like crazy and they are not happy. So I have a lot more questions. Representative Long, Xcel Energy wants to know, did you actually have a hearing on the repealer?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the request, and Representative O'Neill, and thank you, Xcel Energy, for the question. No, there was no hearing on the repealer. I don't believe needed a standalone hearing. It's a fairly simple provision, and it's to repeal an existing law that I explained earlier.
Representative O'Neill.
Madam Chair, you didn't have a hearing, and I just told you that impacts my district, Xcel Energy, and ratepayers tremendously. Again, you have removed the certainty that they can put in a gas-fired power plant there to replace the coal plant. They're going from 2,400 megawatts all the way down to 750 megawatts, which, by the way, if you understand what's happening up in my district, there is a reason why you have 2 massive power plants right there, because we have the infrastructure to distribute it. And if you remove the power, you screw up that distribution. So, I mean, you absolutely needed to have a hearing about that, Representative Long. Anyway, back to, I have another question, Madam Chair. So I have another person that's saying that France actually recycles 96% of their spent fuel, and that they've had a program in place for quite some time, which I already knew. So, of course, here in the United States, we destroyed our ability to reprocess. But the other question I have is to the PUC. So the PUC question. Can you tell me how many FTEs are in this bill for the PUC?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative O'Neill, too.
Yeah. Representative O'Neill, you know, we have other folks who do have questions, and I'm hoping that you will allow others to have an opportunity to have their questions, and we can also come back to you.
Madam Chair, just a clarification. I did not ask. I wanted to know the total FTEs in the PUC, not just the new FTEs.
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Marion. Thank you, Representative O'Neill. You'd have to ask the Public Utilities Commission. I don't know their staffing numbers.
Representative O'Neill.
Thank you. So $16.7 million, I'm guessing the vast majority of that is staff. If the PUC wants to text me, apparently it's the day that everyone's texting me, they can text me what their FTEs are. And the last thing I would say, and then I will turn it over to my other members who also have concerns about this bill, is the whole fact that, again, the prime land. So I have a question about why are you changing things about prime agricultural land and allowing, I believe, unless I'm getting that part wrong, community solar gardens to go on prime agricultural land. That just seems like a really bad idea, but maybe I got that part of the bill wrong, Representative Long.
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you, Representative O'Neill. This is not applying to community solar gardens. This is applying to other solar gardens, and it's trying to help clarify the rules of the road for when solar can go on prime farmland. Solar does get developed on prime farmland, and that is often the choice of the landowner. So there's a real private property right interest in a local farm that wants to develop solar. I believe there should be a lot of trust in the farmers and putting the solar on the land that they view as the least valuable, and providing them some additional source of income to stabilize their farm. And so we've tried to make clear that if a solar developer is following some very specific procedures that will be protective of farmland, that they can develop on prime farmland.
Okay, Representative O'Neill.
Yeah, well, Madam Chair, that's incredibly problematic because here's the thing is unless they have a decommissioning plan and that land is absolutely kept pristine, because guess what's inside of a solar panel is all kinds of highly, highly toxic material that if that solar panel breaks, it now spills onto the prime farmland underneath. And some have worried that that would not be able to be reclaimed. So while I just think that's a poor use of our prime farmland in Minnesota to put a big solar field on it that is out of commission now for 20 or 30 years, and potentially the soil would be poisoned after the whole project is done. So I also find that incredibly problematic. And with that, Madam Chair, I will allow the several members that have now popped up that want to also voice their concerns, I'm guessing, on this really crazy bill. It doesn't make any sense to me why we would make nuclear more expensive, that we would prioritize community solar gardens, which is 3 times higher than utility scale solar, and make it exceptionally more expensive for our manufacturing facilities, for the poor that have to pay high utility rates. Because right now we're the 13th highest utility rate in the United States. So we're just hurting people that are already hurting from the pandemic. And with that, I'll turn it over to some of my other colleagues. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative Scott.
Oops. Thank you, Madam Chair. And so I forget when we're talking about taking good farmland out of commission to put solar panels, it reminds me yesterday of the bill to plant more trees. There's one part of one of the bills yesterday was to plant more trees, and it reminded me of Representative O'Neill in Wright County, where they plowed down like acres and acres of trees to put up solar panels. And I'm like, how does this make sense? And then it brought to mind, and as Representative O'Neill talked about, taking really prime farmland out of commission and the probability or the likelihood or just the chance that these solar panels could break and these toxic materials could leak into the soil. It reminds me of my bill that I have for the disposal of these solar panels, because there's some really toxic things in them. And I did ask earlier in the year for a hearing on that bill and never received it. And I feel like if you're really concerned about the environment, you better figure out a way to dispose of these panels in a safe way. So we're not putting it into, so it doesn't somehow these chemicals leak into our groundwater. But my question for Representative Long today has to do with section, let me see, it's page 127, section 4. It has to do with integrating greenhouse gas reductions into state activities and the plan that goes with that. And I'm just wondering, Representative Long, I don't sit on the Energy Committee, but I used to. I'm just wondering what your hope is for that section of the bill.
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you for the question, Representative Scott. So just first on the solar and reclamation, I fully agree that we need to make sure that solar panels are being disposed of properly, and you can rest assured that the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency right now is ongoing a stakeholder process on that. Solar panels at this point are, have 20 to 25 years of life, and so we're really not at the stage where we're recycling them or reusing them yet, but that is something that the Public Pollution Control Agency is taking seriously, and the Public Utilities Commission as well requires financial assurance and to have a reclamation plan for all of their solar projects. In terms of your specific question on the greenhouse gas reduction into state activities, so we have greenhouse gas reduction goals that we set as a state in 2007. We're not close to meeting those goals, and so this would help with planning for state agencies to try to see what they can do to help get on a path to meet our goals that we've set as a state.
Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so the wording there in the middle of that paragraph says into all aspects of state agency activities. And I just wondered, what does that look like to you, Representative Long?
Chair Long.
Chair Moran, thank you, Representative Scott, for the question. So what that looks like to me is that we know that greenhouse gas include, emissions come from sources like buildings, they come from sources like automobiles. And so an agency, for example, might make plans to over time transition its fleet away from internal combustion engines and towards electric vehicles.
Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so and Representative Long, so I'm curious about on line 127.21, you have regulating, funding, and permitting. And so why are you addressing permitting in this statewide greenhouse gas reductions section? What are you addressing there with the word permitting? What are you getting at there?
Yeah. Chair Long.
Thank you for the question, Representative Scott. So we are, I think, trying to ensure that greenhouse gas reduction goals are taken into account in all aspects of state decision making, and that includes in permitting decision making. So this wouldn't be requiring an outcome, but it would be requiring that they at least take into account the goals that we've set as a state, as they should, in any decision that the state is making.
Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Long. So would it be safe to say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but is it safe to say that you just don't want you want to stop any permitting, issuing any permits for power that might have something to do and emit carbon dioxide? Is that an accurate statement? Is that kind of where you're going with this?
Chair Long.
Thank you for the question, Representative Scott. No, that's inaccurate. It's, to my mind, trying to make sure that greenhouse gases are incorporated in the decision making as one of the factors. Obviously, in any in any permitting decisions, there's going to be lots of factors. But I think that we can all agree, hopefully, that our greenhouse gas goals that we've set collectively as a state are important to meet, and that those should be one of the things that are included when agencies are making decisions.
Representative Scott.
Thank you. And one final question, Representative Long. And so in your mind, is cutting down on greenhouse gases more important than, you know, affordable, stable energy? What if you could list your priorities as far as your energy policy? Would you say that green energy outranks affordability and stability?
Chair Long.
Thank you for the question, Representative Scott. So no, actually our bill does just the reverse. We have affordability and reliability as the prime considerations for energy. So for example, in my 100% clean energy standard, we have set a target for 100% clean energy, but if a utility finds that that would be unaffordable or unreliable, they can go to the Public Utilities Commission to revise those standards. So affordability and reliability are, in my view, at the top of the ranking. But the good news is that clean energy is the most affordable form of energy. So I don't believe that there's going to be there are going to be conflicts that come up that often.
Madam Chair, just one final comment. And, you know, wind energy.
Representative Scott, go ahead.
Thank you. Wind energy may be the cheapest right now, but it's not the most reliable. And so, Madam Chair, I thank you for allowing me my line of questioning. This section of the bill really concerns me, and I feel like even though Representative Long has said that that affordability and reliability are the top priorities, I don't know that that's necessarily true as some sections of this bill would indicate. So thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that affordability, reliability thing that Representative Scott brought up is pretty interesting. I'm going to reserve my comments here in committee to things that were said that I believe are misleading by Representative Long on community solar gardens. I'll reserve the rest of my conversation for when we get to the floor. I'm sure everyone in this committee will appreciate that. But there were a few things that were said about community solar garden. And just so people understand the perspective in my district, we are deep ag. It is almost all agriculture. And if you told me 10 years ago what we grow out here, I would tell you that we grow corn, beans, some specialty crops, and some sugar beets. Well, now I have to add to the list solar garden. These 10-acre solar garden, community solar gardens are popping up everywhere around me. And just so everyone understands, almost all of them is on prime growing land. And Representative Long is accurate in his statement that these landowners are willing to give up that land, but understand that this prime ag land, the rent for corn is usually about $200 to $250 an acre. For sugar beets, it's a little more, about $300 an acre. A farmer showed me one of the proposals from one of these community solar garden companies that are coming out here, like Howard Hill from Music Man, and saying, we got to do things out here. And the proposal for 10 acres of land is $250,000 up front. It's a check up front to lease that 10 acres of land for the next 35 years. I wish I owned 10 acres of land out here. So to say that a landowner wants to do this, it's because they're getting incredible amounts of money. Now, who pays that $250,000? It's the Excel ratepayers. Now, also understand that they have to go around, and part of the community solar garden, they have to get, what are they called? People that sign up to use the energy. And they go to them and they say, you can save energy. I was told by a high-up person at Excel that businesses are receiving up to a 50% discount on their electricity use to buy into that, to subscribe. That was what I was looking for. I don't know why a business wouldn't do that. Well, who pays for that? The Excel ratepayers pay for that. So there's a reason why it costs $150,000 $150 a megawatt, it's because all this money is pouring in members. The talk that was referenced by Representative O'Neill and Representative Scott about the land use after these solar panels. First of all, it's misleading to say that there are plans. Maybe he didn't say this, but if you heard in Representative Long's message that there is a structure in place to remove these panels when they're outdated and when they need to be removed, that's not true. There is not a model to do that. And the 25-year life use of this, they say in Minnesota climate is more like 16 to 18 years. I'll even give them the 25 years, but after that, there's also early evidence that, forget about breaking, these chemicals are leaching into the ground. There's a very serious belief that you'll never be able to farm on this land again. I think the next generation of people are going to be dealing with a whole new problem with that. But I do have one question quick, and then we can move on, Madam Chair. I do for Chair Long. You mentioned the reason why community solar gardens are expensive are because it's retail and not wholesale. And I find that interesting because Excel has to use it. They have to use this. They have to use it. So can you explain to me, Chair Long, why it is that the model that Excel has to use this energy for to its consumers, why they have to use a retail versus wholesale model?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you for the question, Representative Miller. Sure, I'd be happy to. So if you would put up a solar panel on your roof right now, then that is net metered. And so you are getting a payment from Excel for putting it up on your roof. If you are purchasing a share in a community solar garden, then that's essentially the same as net metering, except you don't have the solar panel on your roof. So it shows up on your bill as a rebate, just the same as if you had a solar panel on your roof, just the same as a retail program of purchasing solar for your own roof. But it expands access because you don't have to have a roof that has, is free of tree cover, or frankly, you don't even have to live in a home. You can live in an apartment building and get access to solar. So that's why it's a better comparison to a retail program.
Chair Moran.
Yes, Representative Miller.
I'm gonna ask for the best way I can put out some integrity on this. Chair Long, do you view me putting a solar panel on my roof and either using that energy or selling it back to Excel the same as, now you're proposing 3 megawatts, so that would be 30 acres. So 30 acres of solar being sold to businesses. And I know that there's been legislation in the past. I'm trying to dig up if it's in your bill now or if it's being proposed somewhere else to let, like, for example, Excel users in Hennepin use the solar panels out here. Do you see the same thing there that we're talking about? If I put a solar panel on my roof for my family, maybe selling a little bit back to Excel as a 30-acre plot of solar panels being the same thing and therefore being a retail model that's acceptable. Do you see the same thing there?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you, Representative Miller, for the question. Yes, you're selling it to individual retail customers in both circumstances, but the benefit of community solar is you actually get some economies of scale by being able to pool resources together between churches, schools, other individual neighbors, and bring the cost down versus putting it on your roof.
Okay. Chair Moran, I'll leave the rest for the floor, but to say economies of scale of $150 a megawatt, and I'm paying for it whether I want it or I don't. I'm not getting it. So you have to subscribe to get it. So I'm actually paying for those subscriptions. We'll save the rest of that for the floor. Thank you, Chair Moran.
Thank you, Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Long, I tried to text you this because there's a text chain going around, and I don't know if this is a rumor or if this is true, but Republican members are telling me that the natural gas provision for Becker, that you limited discussion on that to 2 minutes. And obviously it's a massive infrastructure project. It's a big deal. Can you just clear up how this process of how this provision was allowed to be debated or not be debated in your committee?
Chair Long.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you for the question, Representative Garofalo. They may have been referring to the amendment that they brought on that provision, and I believe there were 53 amendments filed in our committee, and so we did have to limit debate to be able to get through the number of amendments filed in the time constraints that we had.
Representative
Chair.
Garofalo.
Representative Long, so is it true? Was it 2 minutes?
Chair Long.
Representative Garofalo, we did limit debate to 2 minutes per amendment. That was the amount of time we had available.
Okay, so Madam Chair, Representative Long, do you think that with the benefit of hindsight that maybe by limiting the debate on that for 2 minutes, that maybe this provision is going to be debated a lot more on the House floor when it comes up?
Chair Long.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, I suspect that there will be lots of debate on the House floor and lots of provisions, and I'm not sure that the debate I allowed in committee would necessarily impact that. There's a lot of folks who don't serve on my committee who want to get in on the action on the House floor, so I'm looking forward to the discussion. Representative
Garofalo.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting term of language to allow debate. It's an interesting term, but Representative Long, I miss serving on energy and getting able to have more conversations with you. And, Madam Chair, I will tell you that I'm going to say something today that I never thought I would say, and that is I have never been more thankful than I am right now that the state Senate of Minnesota is under Republican control. The reason why I say that is because as I take a look at this bill, I can easily scratch out 95% of it and say that those who are concerned about it, whether it's the policy or provisions in this that are problematic, that none of this is going to become law. So it makes it a much easier, much more entertaining debate. I suppose the one exception to that would be that I'm pretty sure Representative Listlegard is going to be successful in this $5.5 million that's in the bill right now for the Mountain Iron area. I bet you Representative Listlegard is going to be successful in getting that through the Senate. So I think that's going to stay, but there's not going to be much else. And the fact that this bill is being amended onto Representative Stevenson's bill is it's really good news for ratepayers. It signals that once these provisions leave the House floor, they will die a swift and public death, and the ratepayers will be protected for another 2 years. So I'll be again, members, I'll be voting no. I would encourage members to do the same, but just remind members that as we're looking at things that are going to be happening at the end of session, there are threats to ratepayers and taxpayers that will happen. There are other threats that will not happen. I put these energy provisions in the category of the fifth tier or the tax increases that are in the Omnibus tax bill. I think the people know that none of these things are going to become law. So let's dispense with this issue and get it amended onto Representative Stevenson's bill, and Representative Stevenson will take it from there.
All right, so seeing no further questions, I would like to thank Chair Long for his work in creating a more sustainable future for Minnesota energy sector and environment. Chair Long, I would like to offer you the closing remarks.
Thank you, Chair Moran. Thank you, members, for the discussion today. Representative Garofalo, I miss having you on the Energy Committee as well, and appreciate the opportunity for discussion. I think if members, if what you're interested in is affordable energy, then this bill has that. We have, as I mentioned, strong energy efficiency provisions in here, and we are moving towards more affordable clean energy than our current energy system. If you are interested in jobs, then this bill has that. We are creating many more jobs with deploying clean energy finance, with creating more construction for our workforce as well. And if you're interested in climate and the environment, which we all should be, given the health impacts that we know come to our community, given the economic toll that we have seen on our state already, then this bill is moving us forward in that direction as well. So I urge members' support.
All right, thank you, Chair Long. So there being no further discussion, the chair will lay House File 2110 over as amended. Thank you, Chair Long.
Thank you.